How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you a recap of Turning Point USA's Black Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. I just came back from that event yesterday, and there is a whole lot to quote unquote unpack here, as the cool kids would say. But first, I gotta say that everything was positive. The young attendees, high school, college, people that are older like myself, and people that are older than myself, it was all great. A lot of networking, a lot of connections were made. It was a very positive event with no hitches that I saw. But before I even get into the details, let me just start from the very beginning and tell you about my journey and what I observed at the Black Leadership Summit, and also what the purpose of the event was, because that has been a pretty big question that I've been asked a lot before the event, during the event, and after the event. First things first, I leave from here in Tennessee on Thursday, and I get to DC right around 2:30. Instantly, as soon as I get to the airport, I see a friend of mine, Patrick Hampton. We're going to the same place, so we're talking about the event. I have on the MAGA hat in the airport, so have a little conversations there. And straight away, I'm having what I really, really want the most from the event, which is conversation, talking to people, making connections. You know, that's the main thing that I enjoy doing at these conferences. So right away, I was able to get that. Now, when I go to the hotel, a lot of the attendees are already there. It's a lot of, handshaking and picture taking, a lot of different things. And, I'll go to my room, check my bags or whatever, into my actual room, change. I go downstairs. Patrick and another one of our friends, we go to a dinner like right there in the area. It's kind of like an early dinner, late lunch, that kind of thing, right around 4:00. And they were serving paper straws. That was interesting to be in DC and see how, these things go. I had never in my life had a paper straw before. Everything was always plastic or no straws. So that was really interesting. The place was good. A lot of other attendees went to that same place later. So I think we had a pretty good time at that particular restaurant. And when we're there, again, we're talking about different things happening in the Black community, things happening in politics. And also on the ride from the airport, the same friend we're at dinner with, we have a conversation about everything that's going on, which is one of the main things I wanted. But to fast forward past the ride from the airport and the dinner, we get to the opening event. It's right around 4:30, 5:00. You have Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens that come out. They tear the house down. They do a fantastic job talking about everything that's going on. Charlie made a good point about technology and innovation, how people need to take advantage of it. And when companies don't innovate, they often get left behind, like Blockbuster. I mean, one, people laughed at Netflix, said you can't do it, it will never happen. And I think we can relate that to what we're doing as Black conservatives, because people laugh at us, say, hey, you can't do that. You're a Black person. You'll never be able to succeed. You're getting 8% of the Black vote going to the Republicans. But we are in a time of innovation where we're able to change things, okay? Many people want things to stay the same in society, but we're going to get beyond that and make changes for the better. So that was a great opening ceremony. And a lot of the speakers that were there during this event did fantastic. Jerron Smith did great. He was talking about policy, which is very important. He's in the White House, a Black male in the White House, drafting executive orders to specifically help the Black community. These are things the mainstream media does not tell you. So that was that. I think a lot of us went to the Trump Hotel that evening, also the next evening, and all throughout this event. It was a cool spot, very expensive in there, but it's just a beautiful place to be, to get your live streaming on and your pictures, and also, again, to have conversations. Now, the big event obviously was on Saturday when we went to the White House. But before the White House, there was a few things. I personally went to the Black History Museum, and that was an experience. It was kind of heavy because it was dark in there, not a whole lot of lighting. It puts you in a kind of somber mood. But I got a lot of pictures there, and I was able to kind of explore DC. And DC is beautiful. when it's nice weather. And and one thing I got to say, DC was very clean. It's not like San Francisco or Los Angeles where you got homeless tents everywhere. Now, granted, it's smaller than those places physically, but well, not really. San Francisco might be a little bit bigger, but I digress. The point is that it was very clean in DC, like in downtown, in the actual city, it was pretty clean, which was a great surprise. So being able to walk around, move around, it was great. You can bring your family and walk from place to place and not really feel any kind of danger, like you're going to have a needle pop out of nowhere and prick you in the foot. But I digress. The African American History Museum was a great sight to see. After I left that, I went back to the hotel where there was a reception before the White House. I'm talking to a lot of the kids about different things, how to get the YouTube channel going. I'm exchanging phone numbers, emails. People are subscribing to me that have not subscribed to me yet. I'm being brought over here to talk to this person and talk to that person. Made a lot of great connections. Like I said from the beginning, one of my main goals at these events is to network and to build relations. After the reception, we all go down to the White House. It's hundreds of us. I'm not really sure how many there were, but it was hundreds. One thing that happened, I think it might have been one hitch, but it wasn't really any fault of Turning Point USA. What happened was some people, although they responded to the White House email to RSVP to get to the event, they were not able to come in because at a certain point we reached capacity. If you did not respond to the email right away, then you were not in the first drawing of names that were to be considered to get into the White House. I think that's pretty much how it works. Unfortunately, that's just kind of how it was, but I was able to get in, as were many of us. I feel like this year was more people than last year. I saw plenty of familiar faces, but also new faces, and just in general, more people. To some, it may have seemed like it was less because the hotel we were in was bigger, so the lobby area was bigger, and people were more dispersed over a greater area, versus last year where the lobby was much smaller and people were in a more compact space, if that makes any sense. Basically, bigger space with more people may appear to be less people because you had less in a smaller space. But I digress. Big turnout. The White House is packed. To have the president come out and speak to us was fantastic. He did a great job. Before he came out, Candace came out and gave a fantastic speech. That was a surprise to me. I did not expect that. She gave a fantastic speech. Trump came out, said a few words, and he had a lot of people that were behind him, a lot of young black folks that were behind him. The young man from Cameroon, who I think was in the military here in the U.S., he did fantastic. The young lady, she did fantastic speaking as well. Also, the Ethiopian young lady who has been in America for quite a few years. I think she was abandoned by her family and got adopted at age 11 by an American family. She did a fantastic job doing the prayer. I was a real big fan of hers all throughout this. And one thing that was kind of a noticeable change from last year was that there was no MAGA hats. We were told we could not wear MAGA hats because of the Hatch Act. If we were to have MAGA hats on, it was some kind of political thing where the footage could not be used. So we wanted to make sure that we got this documented so the media couldn't say, oh, they had on MAGA hats, so we couldn't put them on TV. You understand what I'm saying? So we made sure to not have MAGA hats on in the White House because we wanted to be able to use the footage and not give the media an excuse to not air it, although most of the mainstream media did not air it. Now, after the White House, many of us, we go back to the hotel, we go and do different things. We go to restaurants. Shout out to my man Bryson, who had on a very big MAGA hat. I think he went down to Owens, which is a soul food restaurant, a black restaurant, and we're in DC. That caused a little bit of a hubbub, but it was all good. Nothing really happened. It was just, heated debates, which is what I really enjoy doing. If you watch my channel, you see me on RT, you see me debate people like Destiny or whatever. I enjoy debates. That's what I pretty much do every day. Also on my live show, ABL Live, every single show, at least one person calls in, probably Ivan, and I debate them. That's just what I enjoy. But moving right along, that Friday was fantastic. Of course, the White House visit was great. And then going into Saturday, we had an all-day event. This was from 9 a.m. to about 6 p.m. A lot of great speakers. I believe Brandon Tatum started it off. He did great. Larry Elder did great. John Miller from the White House Brief did fantastic. Oh, and going back to the White House right quick for a moment, a lot of very familiar faces were in here. A lot of celebrities starting to catch on. I saw Greta Von Susteren, the reporter, obviously she was there. Isaiah Washington from Grey's Anatomy, and also some of the early Spike Lee movies like I think he was in Girl 6 and Crooklyn and Dead Presidents. You understand? He was there. I got a picture with him. Angela Stanton King was there. A lot of, high names are there. I think Paris Denard was there. I saw Paris Denard in the street randomly and told him I was a big fan, shook his hand. And, of course, Jared Kushner, Mike Pence. But to fast forward past the White House and getting back to Saturday, Brandon Tatum did a great job. Of course, the Hodge twins did a great job. I was able to meet them after their particular talk, or really was like a comedy show, free comedy show for all of us, because they were hilarious. Shout out to them. They're from Martinsville, Virginia. Of course, I'm from like the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area of Virginia. So we were able to connect on that. And we had been talking, on social media and stuff. So it was great to meet them in person. Really down to earth, funny guys. One common thing about all the speakers that I was able to talk to, all the attendees that I was able to talk to, is that everybody's down to earth. Nobody's Hollywood or too cool for school. Everybody's just super cool. Joe Patrick, I saw him there with his big orange truck. Got a picture with him. Big fan of Joe Patrick and this whole music that he got going on. He does everything, the music, cutting trees, the whole 9 yards. So I was really impressed with all the speakers from Thursday and Saturday, and also Friday at the White House. And then all the attendees, the kids especially. This is where it really hit home for me. People coming up to me, shaking my hand, saying, hey, it's great to have you here. I'm glad you're here with us. Thank you for coming. I watch you every day. My mom watches you. My dad watches you. They told me to watch you. I had one mother that had her children there. She was like, hey, girl, get in the picture with ABL. She took the picture. It was really great. But one thing that really stood out to me was how people were coming up to me asking for advice, asking for mentorship. And of course, I'm going to give it out. That's what I really enjoyed about this, was being able to give information about how to start a YouTube channel. What equipment do you need? What, how are you really going to get it going? How are you going to build momentum? How are you going to build a following? That's one thing that I enjoy doing. I did some interviews here and there. Shout out to my man, Bob Smoke TV, Mike Nificent, King Face. A lot of guys were there. I was able to hop on their live streams. Of course, David Harris Jr., he did a great job speaking as well. Got to talk to him, of course, at the Trump and also at the actual hotel. So I don't want to miss anybody, but, a lot of great stories. People came from all over the world to come to this event. This is why I think, just one reason why I think it was bigger than the last time. Just observing it, I think it was bigger than last year's, but also people came from different parts of the world. One guy, Jeffy, he came from Nigeria, like actually flew from Nigeria. He was not just Nigerian. He actually came from Nigeria to this event. One young lady, Dominique, she came from UK to come to this event. And I think somebody else came from Canada. So it was a multinational thing. A lot of recent immigrants, first generation, people live in different countries, people that have been here for a very long time. We're all together, different walks of life, coming from, the hood, coming from suburbs. It didn't even really matter. We were all there for one common purpose, which was, to be an advocate of conservatism. And also a big thing that was a unifying factor was Christianity. You had quite a few Christians that were here. They had Bible study in the actual lobby of the hotel. And that was a really great thing to see. Young people, 18, 19 years old, having Bible study, not arguing about love and hip hop and who has the biggest hot song on the radio. It was about things like, biblical principles, about marriage, about, trying to lead the community, about what am I going to do in the future? What's my career path going to be? That is what I heard there. So it was not just about a photo op. It was not just about trying to, please the white man or whatever. These people, the kids, the adults like myself, and people that were older were all there for a purpose, which was to connect with other like-minded individuals and to unify for a common purpose, to push conservatism, to push Christianity, to push their set of morals, and of course, to network. Made a lot of great connections. One guy was doing a documentary and I was in it. I was able to speak to Benny from Turning Point, formerly of Daily Caller. I gave him a great statement. That's going to be in a documentary or some kind of film that he's doing. It was so many connections that were made. I can't really count them all. I paid for my way 100%, and it was worth every red cent. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Were you at the event? Did I got a picture with you? If you've not, tag me in it. If you've not posted it, hey, please do so if you can. I know not everybody can post stuff because, you know, people have this stigma against conservatives for some reason. But if you can post it, hey, tag me in it. I'll definitely give you a shout out. Did you enjoy the event? If you were there, did you not enjoy the event? I did not see anybody with, you know, a long face. Everybody had big smiles. Everybody enjoyed themselves, and everybody was able to get a lot out of it. Making connections, meeting people is one thing to communicate online. That is a fantastic way to communicate. It's what starts a lot of relationships nowadays, both personal and professional. But to see them in person, to talk to them face to face, it brings that relationship to a whole different level. It brings a different level of, I guess you would call it, seriousness to it. And I really enjoyed that. Were you watching it online through your social media accounts, through YouTube, through television, like mainstream media? What is your opinion about it? And I got to say one last thing here. The purpose of a Black Leadership Summit rather than just a leadership summit is for outreach. A lot of us as Black conservatives feel like we're alone. Okay, especially those of us that have recently converted or we're in a highly liberal area, and our family, a lot of times, you know, think about it like this. You have 90 to 95% of the Black community that votes Democrat regardless of what. It doesn't really matter. If you are voting Republican, you're like a black sheep, lone wolf. You pretty much are on an island by yourself. You may lose family, you may lose friends behind that. So you feel like isolated, alone, nobody to talk to. This event, it brings you back to center. Like I was talking to a lot of the attendees about, it gives you a refresher. You need it. You feel like you're out here just slaying dragons. Nobody cares. And when you're here, you realize that ain't the case. You are not alone. And the ultimate goal is to get everybody, regardless of what your race, your color, your nationality, whatever you want to say, all of us as Americans to get unified on being one common accord. That is the ultimate goal. But you got to reach out to communities that may be neglected by certain parties. The Black community is definitely neglected by the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party, it's like we can't even really get any kind of inroads because they're so attached to the Democratic Party. It's almost like not even worth it. But we say it is worth it. We can make some progress here, and that is a big thing that was happening at the Black Leadership Summit. Hopefully we do it every single year, and it gets bigger and bigger with a bigger demand every year. So we have multiple ones every year. Then it would get to a point where it's not even needed because we're all as one as Americans. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.